Good morning. This is a little bit of a different setup than different setting that I'm usually at. But today I want to talk about women that I guess mother their husbands. I want to talk about women that mother their husbands and how that started and why men have become, I guess, weak and seem to want their wives to be mothers, or their mothers, sorry. And I think this all started when, let's see, I'm a millennial, so the generation with our TV shows that we had growing up, I don't think we realized how much it impacted us and our beliefs growing up. Because I go back and I think about and rewatch some of the shows to show, my husband that I think this is a lot of where it comes from. That these shows make men seem really dumb. Modern Family, the men in there were goofy too. Claire's husband, Phil, there we go. He was portrayed as an idiot and like, what good is my husband, basically? She's like, I have to do everything. And so we grew up with this thought and, with all this around us that men are idiots and that husbands are no good but basically another child. And kind of seen as like a problem, more like that their husbands, burden again. And so we have this idea in our head that's been pounded in there from these shows, and even maybe our family that has talked bad about men or their dad or something like that, and that they're really not of value. And so you have this whole generation now, and even the younger generation below us, like the Gen Z or something, they're seeing that what good is a man too. Like that these women out here are basically just as masculine as a man in their thought process, and they think that they're feminine, but they're not. They're totally masculine, and they bow up on you. They catch an attitude and they want to fight, and that's just masculine behavior. Like that's just so. It's not really masculine behavior, but it's this perverted masculine behavior, because true men don't get all hyped up and bowed up and want to fight over someone saying something to you. That's a very fragile and very insecure way of thinking, way of being. And so we have this generation or generations now where they've been raised without a father in the house, or their father was weak and their mother was the leader, and the mother was overbearing, and the mother basically mothered her husband because he was weak, and maybe she just did a lot of things for him and that he could have did for himself. And the younger generation sees that, and either they also do those things for their husband and become their mother, or they and then they start to resent them because the women don't want to be a mother figure. Like they start out doing this because that's maybe what they see their mom doing, or again, like the TV shows portray them doing, and they don't want to be this figure, but that's kind of what they see, so they repeat that. And it feels good at first, like that you're helping, but then it becomes a resentment because you're like, man, he could do this on his own, making, I don't know, doctor's appointments, or making, like, I've seen videos of that, or picking up his clothes from the floor, or picking up, like him not knowing where anything is in the house. But it's like, you train him to be like that because that's what you were starting out. Or if you didn't train him and you didn't catch that behavior first off, then that's still your fault, an issue. That you said, yes, I'm willing to accept that, or yes, I'm willing to do that. And so the women become bitter because they don't think that they should do that, rightly so, right? And they start to resent their husband, and instead of talking to them about it, being like, hey, look, I know that you can do this, and it's causing me to resent you and to be in this weird motherly position, and it causes intimacy issues. You can't be close. You don't even want to sleep with your husband because, again, you feel like their mother, and then so you hold that resentment and you're grossed out by it. You don't even want to do that. And so the men don't understand what's going on because the women don't really know how to articulate that. They just are upset. And the weak men don't go and talk to their wife and be like, oh, what is this issue that you're having with me? To maybe pull it out of them, to make them stop, being childish in a way. And they've never had that with their father growing up. Maybe their mother, was a single mother too, or their father was weak. So they never knew how to be the grounding for their wife and to direct the situation, the conversation, the family in a direction of not being bitter and negative and spiteful, and also being able to do for himself and not needing the wife to do that. And I don't know if that comes too from their mother taking a hold of that and always doing that for them, and that the mother kind of ruined that. But still, whenever the wife comes in, she either accepts that while they're dating, or she doesn't accept that. So you don't have to accept that behavior before you get married. You can be like, look, I'm your wife. I don't want to be your mother. I don't want to be that. I want to not have that resentment towards you, because I know that these are things that you can do, right? And that's not expected of me. But what's expected of me is to be a wife, is to be the helpmate, is to be whatever situation, whatever things that we, if it's going to be two people working in the house, if it's going to be one person working, what do you want from me? This is what I need from you. And in order to do that, you have to talk and communicate and get past the looks and the favorite colors and the hobbies and all that. You have to be able to communicate and cohabitate in the same situation, in the same house, without being able to, do not have that contempt for each other. Because that's what drives most people. That's what drives people apart, is they hold contempt for each other. They don't talk, and instead of talking to each other, they talk outside of each other. They talk to a coworker, they talk to their best friend, they talk to whoever. And then whenever you do that, that allows Satan to step in and to be like, oh, I can fix that. I'm not like that. I'm just this perfect whatever. And so whoever is having the problem, that's not communicating, sees, oh, the grass might be greener on the other side, which it's not. It's always the same grass, because it's just the same attitude, just a different face, because this person doesn't know how to communicate and doesn't know how to grow out of that. So they'll just fall into the same trap, even if they divorce that person and find somebody else. Until the communication works, until you learn how to communicate without all these emotions in the way, without contempt in the way, without resentment in the way, you will not be able to work through a marriage. You will not be able to go through a marriage. You will not be able to go through any relationship with that. A healthy relationship does not hold contempt, and it is based on communication. And I'm not just talking about, oh, we got to talk this. People just think, oh, we just talk things, just talk about things. That's what they think about communication. There's different ways you communicate. Your body language is a communication. Being closed off is like with your body. no eye contact when you're talking, crossed arms, turned away, your back towards someone. That is a part of communication also. And for whatever reason that there's a block there that they feel that, they need to search themselves to find why they feel like that. And if they just want to cut it off and be like, no, it's this person's fault on why I'm feeling like this, okay, you can think that, but the next person you try to get with is going to be the same deal. The honeymoon phase is going to be over. In the end, you're going to just have the same communication block. So this is what I see when wives become the husband's mother. It's gross. And husbands, you need to step up and stop being weak men. Stop letting the woman mother you. Whenever women have control of the household over the men, that is a mothering position. And it's just out of order. Because the woman is chaotic. The woman holds resentment because she has to be this. She doesn't want to be this, but she has to be because her husband's weak. Does she choose a weak man? Yeah. Because a strong man is not going to submit to a woman because she's chaotic. A strong man knows how to ground his wife. Women, if you don't want to rest in comfort of your husband guiding you, if you don't trust that man's judgment, then don't be with him. Because it's in our nature, in men's nature, to want to provide, to lead, for you to trust in him that he's going to do well. Women, you want to please your husband. Because women kind of want this worship thing. And it goes back all the way to the beginning. Women want worship, right? They want the men to bow down to them. You can't have that because that's a weak man that bows down to you. You want to please him. You want him to be like, I like your food. I like this. This is what you do that's great. Outside of looks are just, it's like the smallest amount of what matters in women. A man wants someone that is for him, that is, don't even have, I hate this like when people say cheerleader, but in a sense cheerleader, but they want you to be comfortable in knowing that they are going to take care of you, that they are going to do well, that you trust them. And don't you want that? It's so easy, it's so much easier, so much of a burden lifted when you don't have to be the masculine in the relationship. You know why? Because we're not meant for that. We're not meant to stress. We're not meant to be the masculine. That's not our nature. So then what comes with that is the stress, the resentment, the anxiety. We can't handle it. The bitterness, the judgment, and then like ruining everything else around us. When you could just rest in knowing that your husband has got you and has got your family, that's like the best thing. That is your nature, is to rest in comfort knowing that you can trust your man. And then you can be able to enjoy the things that are so talked about as being toxic or that ain't my job. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy making a homemade meal that my husband, every day to me, is like what is it? I don't know, it's not a competition because it's just with myself. But every day I want my husband to say, wow, this is really good. Or, wow, can you pack me some of that for lunch? Or, wow, could I take some of this for a Christmas dinner that I'm going to have for my employees at work? I want to share this with somebody. That is the best for me. I like whenever my husband tells me that my food is good. And he will tell me if, this needs a little bit more salt, this needs too spicy, maybe this would be better. And I don't take offense to that. Because you know why? I want to please him. I want him to be happy at the job that I did for him that day. Just like he wants me to be happy and to trust in the job that he did that day. That he went and he did his best. And he's doing the best for our family. Now, this thing also with the women being home and the husband at work, this wasn't always how it was. This wasn't like this in the 1800s. The husband and the wife stayed at home. They worked on their property, and the man cut firewood or whatever. He was the one with the bustle out there, and then the woman was inside taking care of the house, whatever. They both shared in taking care of the children. That's why they had so many. Whenever the boys were of age, they'd go out with their father and learn how to be a man. Whenever the girls were old enough to do dishes, to do the fire, or whatever, that's what they did. They taught them how to do that. And then so they had, they grow their own vegetables and all that stuff. They would teach them how to work the land. And so then it was easier for everybody else. We all had our part in what we did to have our own tiny, community. Each family was. So they would be in charge of whatever task. And it was all fine. It wasn't until the revolution, something in the 1900s, where the men went away to their office job. They went away to work. And then the women were home and they were lonely all day. They were lonely and taking care of the kids. They probably had fewer kids, and they might have had more, but they had no help because the help was gone to their job, right? Like back in the day too, they did have different jobs, like where there was tradesmith, steel worker or something, metal worker, anything like that. But for the majority, people were home working together, and so you had to be around each other all the time. And so the people that get married and they go to work all day and they're separated for the majority of the time that they're married, and then they try to spend time together, they hate being around each other. They constantly need a break, and they're like, oh, you need to go back to work because I can't stand you're getting on my nerves. That's so wild to me that people feel like that about who they're supposed to have a best friend for life, because that's what you're going to have to be. You have to communicate with your friend. And so with this new work era, of course, women are feeling like, yeah, this is not the way it's supposed to be, which is, it wasn't. That's not how it was supposed to be. God didn't make it to where, men were supposed to go away for half a day and then come back. No, the men were supposed to be the protector of the house, because while the men were away, another man could come and tear up his house, could steal his wife and hurt his wife and take the kids, whatever. So it wasn't meant to be like this. And so whenever we had this where they were separated, then you saw lonely wives, and then you saw, then they were seeking attention. So then Billy Bob down the road would come over and give her some attention. And so this started this whole thing that was not how it's supposed to be. And so, of course, you see women today holding resentment and looking at marriage and be like, heck no, I don't want no part of that. Because look at the idea of marriage is being portrayed everywhere. The people that are married hate each other. They can't stand each other. They don't communicate. They don't work on things. They don't work things out. They don't listen to each other. They don't hear each other. They argue constantly. The kids, they see that with their families that did that. A lot of people, a lot of my friends, their parents were divorced. And so what do you have when you see that? You see one side that they're living with, they either live with either parent, and they're bitter. Both of them are bitter, and they don't like each other, so they're going to talk crap about the other parent. And the children hear this, and you know what that creates? That creates the next generation that doesn't take marriage seriously. They don't take marriage seriously, and they don't take relationships seriously, but they have children. They have it out of a broken marriage. Marriage is only meant for children. Really, there's no point in really being married unless there's children involved. Because marriage is for the children. It's to see how a woman should be and how a man should be. And to take from both, to learn from both. Because if there both wasn't needed, there wouldn't need to be both to create a child. So with all these fatherless households, and not having even for the a small girl growing up, her father is very important to shape her idea of what men should be, how men should treat her, what a man is, how to rest safely in the comfort of knowing that their father's a protector. And same for the boys. The boys growing up without their dad in the house doesn't know how to grow up and be a man, doesn't know how to deal with life, doesn't know how to deal with women, doesn't know how to be calm, doesn't know how to be rational. So they only grow up knowing the mother's spirit. If the mother has bitterness towards the dad because he's not there one way or the other, if they broke up, one night stand, whatever, then all he hears is about your daddy ain't crap. Your daddy ain't crap, he ain't shit, he left you this, he left you. No, he left her. He couldn't handle her. She was too combative, whatever. But the son only sees the female spirit and the bitterness and the stress and the anxiety and the contempt for men. So they become feminized and they don't know how to handle women either. So they become like them. And so when you have a man arguing with a woman, it's the same spirit. It's the same spirit. When these men grow up with just their mother around, or this idea of their dad not being crap, then they carry that over. If they try to have a healthy relationship with a woman, they can't, because they seek that mother relationship just like how they have with their mother because their father wasn't around. So they seek a strong woman, which is like the dominant woman, the masculine woman, because that's all they know. And then the masculine woman, she wants a manly man, but she has no idea of a manly man because she didn't have her father in the home. So you have two people that are out of their nature. The man is the feminine and the woman is the masculine. And they both argue because they're both not in their right nature. And they don't know how to give each other the right nature because the woman has learned that she has to be in control because she's fearful and anxiety ridden because she can't trust the man because her mother told her that, or her father wasn't around because he was too weak, whatever. She just knows that she has to be like this or else she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to rest in your judgment. She doesn't know how to be comfortable in the man leading because she was never used to that growing up. And also, maybe her mother will be like, well, you can't do that just in case. You might need to go and do this. You might need to go to school for 8 years just in case. But that's not really what she wants to do. Out of fear, she might do that. I mean, some, yeah, I guess they'll go and they'll pursue their passion, whatever, college, a veterinarian, something like that. But if you really look at it, all these women that are going to be educated are so bitter. They got degrees and they want a man, but they want to be over a man. They want the same thing that men want, but not really. They're trying to be the men. And they try to think that, I'm going to get with somebody, I have to get with somebody that makes more money than me. Because they want to be in competition with the man, right? And the man that they're seeking doesn't want that. They don't want their woman to be in competition with them. They don't want a woman that is gone all day too. Then there's no point in getting married. There's no point in getting together. Because she's going to have the same burden and stress and carrying the weight of the world at her job like how he does. But he handles it differently than she does. And so it's like, how do you even direct your family when she can't be directed because she's never learned that, and she thinks so highly of herself because of the education. The pride steps through there to where she absolutely can't give up the reins, because what did she go to school for? What was all this for if she gives up the reins? There's no point. There's no point. She would not let you lead because of that. So very few women actually understand this, that they might have been educated and are able to trust the man that they're around. And that's what the submission means, is being able to not be so dominant and headstrong, to be able to chill, to be the passenger. That's it, to be the passenger in the car while your husband's driving, trusting that he's going to get you there safely. And men, if you want to be the leader of your household, if you want your wife to follow you, you have to know what you're doing and you have to know where you're going. You might not have had that example growing up. Maybe your father wasn't in your life, distant, whatever, or maybe he wasn't leading the household. If you want to lead, you have to know what you're doing and where you're going in order for her to trust you and your judgment to lead. It's just like if you had a horse, if you're riding a horse, right? The man is on the saddle and he's directing the horse where it's going. Now, if he pulls and yanks on the rein and causes that bit to jar back in the horse's mouth and has the spurs on and is kicking it and trying to tell it where to go like that, that's not how to lead. That's not how to make the horse trust you into directing it in the way that it's going to go. If it sees that it needs to cross this river, it might freak out. And if you try to do that, pull reins and kick and do all that for it to go through, it's not going to go through because it's fearful already of what's ahead. Now, a good horseman, a good rider will know, would build trust with their horse. So when those times come, when the river comes and they have to cross it, they know that it's okay to trust the rider's judgment on directing where to go. To going through the lake, the river, whatever, the creek, that it's safe and that it's okay because I can trust the one directing me is not going to lead me into hurt, pain, harm, anything like that. So men that want to do that, if they're already in a marriage, if y'all are already in a marriage where it's flipped, where you want to direct the family, but your wife doesn't know how to trust you because maybe bad judgments in the past, or maybe that's how she grew up, you have to peacefully, calmly direct and allow, let her trust you. Show examples of her building that trust with her. You can't just demand her to follow you. You can't just demand her to be like, this is exactly where we're going, because she's going to be leery of that. I mean, it might work, it might in the beginning, but you're still not going to build that trust. She's still going to be out of that order a little bit, fearful. You have to exemplify that you are safe, that you are going to not cause harm to the family, not make bad decisions for the family. So if you want to do that, you have to know how to do that without being controlling. You need to, let's see. And then whenever you begin to do that, it's going to be hard at first, but your wife will trust you. You can talk to her about it and tell her, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's bothering me. We're butting heads. Why don't you trust me? She might say, whatever. I don't trust you because, my dad, she might not even know why she don't trust you. Again, it's probably that programming from growing up in the TV and all the broken homes where they talk bad about the father, etc. If you want that for your family, or say, wives, if you want that for your husband, you have to stop being controlling. You have to stop going against what he thinks might be a good way or a good decision or something. You can't just say no, shut it down. Y'all have to communicate. That goes back again to communication. But if you want that easy life, stop being combative, stop resenting your husband, stop mothering your husband, you have to communicate with him. Look, I'm not that. I want you to lead our family. I want to rest in comfort knowing that you've got us. Okay? I mean, it's going to be hard at first, but whenever you begin doing it, you will see that it's going to become more peaceful whenever you build that trust with each other in the order that you're supposed to be in. You're going to see that it's easier, that you actually, when you're both in the right nature, like not a fish out of water. A fish does better in water because that's where its habitat, it's where its nature is, it's where it's supposed to be in. You will notice that it works way better. It works better with y'all both operating in how you're supposed to be. You will begin to see it, and you will continue to grow and trust him to lead, and the husband will be satisfied in you trusting him that he's directing the family. If you really want this, if you really want a husband and you want a man like how you say you want a man, stop expecting him to be like a woman. Stop expecting him to be all emotional and all the same things that you say you want but you hate. I know several women that get with these guys because they're just like them, relatable, emotional, all this stuff. And you know what? They think they like it, but then they don't, because they start resenting him because, oh, what are all your feelings for? I have my own feelings and I can't get over mine. How am I going to help you get over yours? And so you know what they do? They find them a, quote, manly man, but it's not even a manly man. It's a guy that's, let's see, you've seen these women where they step out and they destroy their marriage over some dude where you're like, you don't even have a job. Why did you step out with this guy? Because this guy that doesn't have a job and it's, whatever, just some bum, right? They have an appearance of being manly because they don't let them, they're not controlled. And it's a bad way of not being controlled because this person doesn't have a job. They don't, maybe get out of jail, whatever. They're the bad guy, the bad boy, there we go. But they have the same issue, but it's under a different mask. They're not controlled, and that's why women are attracted to the man that they can't control. Even though they say that they want the guy that, is emotional and they can manipulate and do all this for the money bag, they'll step out and sleep with some guy off the street because they can't control him, and that's what they want. They try to control him, but he's like, I ain't having all that. I'll step to the next girl. And then they're like, oh, no, don't do that. Oh, it's that nature of women that's coming out that wants a man to be firm, to be comforting, to be that dad figure. But they step out because they're not getting that already in their marriage, relationship, whatever. And they don't know that that's what they're seeking, but they seek it in the wrong place. It's a wrong form of it. So, if women say that they want a man or a husband or a true man, they need to know what one is. They need to realize that a true man is not going to accept that dominant attitude, that combative attitude. If you don't want to give that up, that's fine. You're going to still be sleeping around with these sissy men and getting with these sissy men who have this facade that they're men. And they're not. They're feminine boys in men's bodies. I see this like red pill culture, right? These men are talking about saying, oh, I can sleep with as many women as I want to, but you can't sleep with as many men. You need to have the same standard for yourself. Why are you so chaotic that you can't control yourself and sleeping with all these other women? Why do you want your woman to practice celibacy, practice keeping that so important and sacred, but you can't do that? What good is that? What hypocrisy is that? That's the same chaotic behavior of a man and woman that cannot control themselves. A man can control himself. A man can control if he gets angry. A man can control if he has a baby with somebody. Why are you acting like you just can't control it? Again, you're acting like boys that you need mothers. Well, you really need your dad. but you want this from them, but you can't do it yourself. That makes no sense to me. The whole thing that ruined women with this birth control thing is that women think that they can go out and sleep with so many men without consequence. And to lack that judgment of, is this person worthy of having this most important piece of myself? Is it this important to do that? So no, the practice is gone. So birth control has moved that judgment out of the way and let women be as chaotic as these boys are, with no excuse. And then they say they want a husband after they've done been chaotic with all these other men. That if they slept without birth control, there's no way that they would sleep with these men. My thing is, if you don't think that this person is capable of taking care of you, especially if you got pregnant, why would you sleep with them? Just in case you got pregnant. How do you not fear that? How do you not worry about that? Birth control needs to go away. I swear. Because the way that it's being used is so irresponsible, and it's creating this generation of this sleeping with each other is meaningless. And you see the repercussions from it. You see the STDs that are being going around, passed around like party favors everywhere. And then you see these slips in birth control or trapping a man because they want something from a man. They want this commitment from the man. So they think that, oh, if I get pregnant, this will force this commitment of something that I want, the selfishness that I want. I want to trap him. I want this man to commit to me, so I'm going to trap him with a baby. You're going to reap what you sow. The man is in control of commitment. You are in control if you are going to have this man's child or not. And if you want to have a child outside of a commitment, you're going to be bitter and resenting, and you're going to take it out on that man's child. You're going to take it out on the child in some way or another, talking about their dad is not proud, keeping them from their dad, whatever. When it was your judgment in the beginning to sleep with him, it was your judgment in the beginning to say, yeah, this is good. This man is good enough to have what's sacred to me. It's your fault. And then you're going to turn around and take it out on the child by not letting them have a father, not letting them have their father that you and your judgment said was good enough to lay down with. It's just despicable, man. I can't believe the audacity that a lot of these women have. And to think, I hear these women talking about their plans in the future without even a dad. They say, oh, I'm going to go to a sperm bank, or I'm going to go whatever, just raise a child. Oh, raise a child in my career. It's going to be hard. What are you talking about? Raise a child in your career. Who's going to be raising your child while you have your career, while you're away at your career? Someone else. Then you go, there's a door opening for something to happen to that child, some other damage to happen to that child. And then whenever we have this cycle happening, regressing, and talking about I don't need this other person to help me raise this child, you're gonna see the degeneracy broken down every generation further and further to where no one knows how to be in correct order. Everyone's just chaotic everywhere. Why is this the standard? Why is this the standard that people don't want to get married? People don't want to communicate. People don't want commitment. People just want to have fun and party and be selfish, but without thinking about anything else. Without thinking, is this good for me to do? Is this right for me to do? What could possibly be a negative that this is causing me? This pattern of behavior that I'm doing. Is this good? Is this okay? Is this profitable? We don't ask ourselves that anymore. People don't critically think. People just go and they just like want to feel good. They want their satisfaction, and they don't care, what cost and what detriment to themselves. They don't think about the domino effect. You know why? Because they didn't have a mother that was in her order, and they didn't have a father that was in his order. They never saw the nature. When the nature of how they're supposed to be is corrupted, how do you blame them? How do you expect them to be correct? How do you expect them to be right? How do you expect them to fall in order? Everything that they see, everything that is the correct order, they hate, they despise, they think it's wrong. Because it's been perverted. The examples have been perverted. I don't know. All I know is if we keep having these women that are masculine and trying to lead, we're gonna have chaos. And all these men that are feminine, it's gonna be chaos. We need the man to stand up and be strong. We need more men.